These 6-6 Bills against the Chiefs, who haven't looked much like the Chiefs of old. First 7 games, remember we thought, they'll pull it together. They're just kind of practicing. Then turns out last 5 games they've gotten worse.
That was just narrative.
No, but they didn't.
You and I didn't believe it.
I kind of believed it.
That they were practicing?
Well, I didn't believe they were practicing, but I thought that they would figure it out and get hot. I didn't expect them to regress during the year.
That was that rationalization.
Right, exactly.
You thought they were going to get worse?
No, but I also didn't think they were going to go undefeated.
Undefeated.
There's a lot of narratives that came out of this chair.
All right, who do you got in this one? Bills Chiefs.
Well, I would have wanted to go with the Bills, and especially if Nick was here, I would have wanted to go with the Bills. But as I look at this, so the Bills aren't very good on the road. They're 1-4 on the road, and then Kansas City's coming off a disappointing loss to Green Bay, which I think they underestimated what Green Bay could do. Obviously, that's not going to be the case. Bills have been good at Arrowhead. The Bills have been good against the Chiefs in season, but the amount of conflict that seems to be in the building, the amount of just it's not just distractions. There seems to be other issues, and it seems to be building as opposed to decreasing, and that can be extremely disruptive as the season goes on.
Can I ask you something? Because as one of my favorite parts of working with you is you can break down the tape, like we all can, but we kind of let you showcase that.
Very nice.
But you're also very keen to the soft factors around a team. Like very early on, he pulled me aside. I'd be worried about kind of max confidence. This was very early. So how does that manifest? I understand there's distractions, but how does it manifest? Are you not practicing certain plays? Is it a focus thing? How do distractions in the building manifest to not ideal gameplay on the field?
Well, look at the Jets world right now with all the things that are going on there, and did the quarterback want to play or not want to play? And then there's an article. So then the coaching staff has to deal with questions about, who was leaking, who wasn't leaking, and then players are talking. You have people talking about things that don't matter. You have people spending time on things that don't matter. You have people looking at other people wondering, are they with us? Are they not with us? And it's so hard to win the NFL when you do everything right and your total focus is on your opponent. It's still really hard to win. When your focus is on other things, when your time is being spent in other directions, when your energy and enthusiasm is being dissipated because of all these sideshows that go on, then it becomes that much harder to get a group of men to achieve at a high level every single week and build towards something.
It's like Pizza Fridays with you. When you're a little bit off.
Yeah,
when you come down, you're just lost. All right, who do you got?
Well, look, I said throughout the week I'm leaning Buffalo. Coach is right. The Sean McDermott hit piece, that's a lot what you're talking about. He was talking about 25 sources. Now, it looked like most of the coaches were former coaches there. So I don't know if it was anybody on his staff now. But to your point, is he looking around who's with me? Because it paints him as a paranoid guy who always puts blame on others. So is he looking at everybody side-eyed with who's with me, who's against me, and how are the players looking at him? So I hear all that. I'm going to stick with Buffalo. They're just absolutely desperate, and I know Kansas City may feel a bit desperate themselves, but they're not actually desperate. Whereas Buffalo, this is the season, and this could be McDermott's job. If they lose this game and end up not making the playoffs, offensively they have been better. It's only been 2 games, but they've been better with the offensive coordinator change, Joe Brady in for Ken Dorsey. They've averaged 33 the last 2 weeks against good defense. Philly, good team, maybe not a great defense. Jets, very good defense. They hadn't scored 30 or more in 6 weeks under Dorsey. So now the offense seems to be clicking. Josh does play well against Kansas City. He's won there twice in the regular season. He knows he can win there. So I'm going to go with Buffalo, but these other factors, Duke, and then Von Miller, we don't have to get into that, but he's facing some issues. So all of those things do give me pause.
I like the Nick Bolton coming back for Kansas City, too. I think when you get your Mike linebacker back, your signal caller, the leadership, they want to do a ton of different things defensively that they've been limited by. Having Bolton back gives them those options again.
Quickly, no Pacheco. They really featured him in that Packers game. Then he got himself thrown out of the game at the end, which I thought was very silly. is there a chance, because I'm waiting for the offense to get to the next level, is there a chance that Mahomes can go Superman mode? We're like, all right, no Pacheco, it's on me and Travis now?
I think that every single game you got a chance for Mahomes to go Superman mode, and for a while he was doing that too much. Mm-hmm. And if you wanted to choose a game, because the other guy's going to go Superman mode, right. Josh Allen's going to try to be Superman, and you may have to match it with without having the
if they
the
don't
luxury
have that run game,
Pacheco.
that'll be huge.
Mahomes
I loved Edwards-Helaire coming out of college, but he ain't Pacheco.
Douglas Clawson writing on CBS that this quarterback rivalry is the best since Brady and Manning. His reasons would infuriate me if I was Joe Burrow, but I do buy them since I'm not. Historic production, best quarterbacks in the last 4 years. He's got some stats to back that up. Numbers in head-to-head meetings. They've got 28 touchdowns between them. The frequency that they play, and some epic playoff games. So I like this theory, Brew. Do you like?
Well, let me say this, because a lot of people probably looking at it like Josh Allen, like he's not on Mahomes' level. He's gotten that publicity, but people kind of down on him now. And his stats are historic. All right, he has more touchdowns in 6 years, total touchdowns, than any quarterback in history. And even though he's had a lot of turnovers, his touchdown to turnover ratio is great. It's like better than anybody except Mahomes, like right up there. So I get all that and what the author of this article is saying. It was a good article. He made some great points. But, Coach, I got to go with Burrow Mahomes, because Burrow has beaten Mahomes in the games that count. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're 1-1 against each other in the playoffs. We know Burrow's 3-1 against him overall, but even in the playoffs, 1-1, beat him once to get to the Super Bowl. I just feel like Josh hasn't won enough he hasn't won it all in the playoffs against Mahomes. So to me, like, you could even mention Brady Mahomes, but Brady was older, Mahomes is younger, there's a huge gap. And Brady beat him when it counted twice. Super Bowl, AFC Championship game. So I would go with Burrow, Mahomes. The only knock on that to me is just Burrow's hurt a lot. But outside of that, that's the biggest rivalry to me.
Yeah, look, I didn't have a problem with putting these two guys together. It's just so interesting to think of this rivalry versus Brady and Manning. It's just so different. You talk about two guys that were incredibly cerebral, and every time you went and played against them, it was about, if he knows, it goes. You had to disguise coverage. You had to change things up. They were always ahead of you, and it was so hard to game plan for Peyton Manning. But neither one of the guys was ever going to leave the pocket. Okay, so you've got that aspect, and then you've got these two guys, and not saying they aren't cerebral. It's just it's a different package, and so many of their plays come off of broken plays. So many of their big, exciting, amazing plays are when things break down. So it's kind of like the heavyweight fighters versus the featherweights, and that's not a knock of their ability. It's just stylistically, it's such a different rivalry than Manning and Brady.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.